All right. Well, welcome. This is actually our third conversation, our living library conversation, and I'm here with Lori Aura. And some of you have probably seen her before in our Exploring Integrity group, and also in the initial living library conversation. I call that the Inception conversation. That was episode one. So what we're just doing is, having a living library conversation, which is just I'm going to be the reader, Lori is going to be the book, and all I'm going to do is just reflect back to her, what resonates with me, what where I find strong common ground, and if there's something that is something I'm confused about or something I don't quite understand, I'm just going to ask clarifying questions. So that's how you be a good reader in the living library, and Lori is going to be the book. And anybody who's watching this, you can redeem credit for watching this conversation from the Karmic Margin Call Project Time Bank. So if you are watching this, you can redeem the credit for watching this, and that is credited as an hour served. So Lori, the first thing I usually ask in these conversations is, if you were a book, what would the title be, and what would some of the themes be? And it's okay if it changes, because I know you've answered this question on social media before, and I'll let you sit with that question for a minute. Let's start with, what might one of the titles be?
Um, I wear many hats and halos. And
Many hats and halos. That's great.
anyone who knows me like gets it because I am the person who likes to juggle a lot of things in the air, likes to have a lot of things going on. I mean, I had triplets.
Yes.
How much more efficient can I be? But yeah.
Very cool. What resonates with me, and I think would resonate with a lot of people watching this, is just how complex and how complicated life has gotten, and we do have to wear many hats. Our attention is like being brought in so many different areas of focus. Like family. You're a mother of triplets. Family, work, spirituality, community, all of these many hats that we wear, and halos. Tell me about halos. Why halos?
Sorry, the phone was ringing. I had to shut it
Oh, the
off.
bro. Yeah. Hmm. So tell me about halos. Tell me about the halos you wear.
I specifically put halos and hats to show that I'm trying to balance my spirituality with my kind of groundedness. And so the halos I wear are those of a medium, of those of a numerologist, are those of an oracle reader, um, an empath, highly intuitive.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I hope more. I'm really, I love being a student and a teacher, and I'm really enjoying being a student too and learning a lot about different practices. So under the Halo Act, book, I would like to add more chapters on different spiritual practices.
Very good. I want to mention here as well too, Laurie. In the last couple of months that I've really been, getting to know you better, I want to reflect back how important and how much I appreciate the work that you've put um, into what we're co-creating here. So you've been very attentive to a lot of the work I've been putting out, especially the deep stuff about shifting power and shifting our attitudes about money and how we see money. So I want to reflect back that. And what I also want to reflect back is that you said a numerologist. Now, this is the first time I'm learning about this, because I have a background in numerology as well too. So let's talk about that chapter first. So tell me about numerology. Where did you learn it? How did you learn it? What inspired you to do that? Yeah.
Just weird things started happening.
Hmm.
I started seeing, with the basic 1111, and everyone's like, make a wish.
Hmm.
And then I had to get my phone number changed because this is before you had blocking. And I went on a horrible date.
Mm.
And so I changed my phone number. And my phone number is full of angel numbers. And
Mm.
so and I found that out because I went to one of those stores that's like metaphysical.
Hmm.
And when I was doing this sign-in list for receiving texts and they saw my phone numbers, they said, and so then I started looking into it and I was fascinated.
Hmm.
So I'm a beginner,
Hmm.
but I'm fascinated and I wish I paid more attention to this earlier, knowing
Hmm.
what I know, that, because math is not my thing,
Hmm.
but vibrational energies and learning
Yes.
what they mean is my thing.
Hmm.
So I'm enjoying that, and I'm enjoying, figuring things out when I see license plates that go by me or certain, addresses that I pass. I know what that means and decipher it, and it's really exciting for me because I've actually been in situations now where other people have witnessed it. My parents have been in the car, my
Hmm.
family, and usually I'm by myself, and so it's magical.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, what really resonates with me at this moment and what's coming up for me is kind of like those vibrational energies that come up, that is associated with the numbers. And it's interesting to me looking at different writers' interpretations of those. I really resonate a lot with archetypal energy as well too, and what like for instance, like the correlations between astrology and numerology. For instance, the number one is the archetypal energy is Aries, Mars. That very straightforward beginning type of energy. But is there one of your numbers that is very prominent in your reading and about you that you would like to talk about, and kind of defines either your life path, your personality, or love to hear what are some of your numbers, and how do they help us understand who you are as a person.
Right now, I see 555
Hmm.
everywhere.
Hmm.
And so what that means is, get ready, Lori, big change is coming.
Hmm.
I feel it in my soul. The big change is coming, and then I will see that number.
Hmm.
777. I've been seeing it also, and I've been seeing it with my mother, who is a two-time cancer survivor, and
Mm.
we were going to Fox Chase Cancer Center, and for some reason I pulled over on the road and I looked over at the house and it was 777. Ever since then,
Mhm.
we have gotten spots right in front of the entrance to Fox Chase Cancer Center. Never have
Wow.
that ever happened before. And every time I'm with my parents who are disabled,
Hmm.
I if I'm going with them, we get the best spot. So it's just weird things, and a lot of 111s for me,
Hmm. Hmm.
leadership, and so I see numbers everywhere and I'm constantly evaluating them, but those patterns, I just know someone's telling me, or a whole bunch of people are telling me,
Hmm.
get ready.
Hmm.
Like I feel like I hear that Diana Ross song, like I'm coming out, like I just,
Yeah.
um, yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. Something's coming up. So there are big changes. When you feel into that energy, that kind of expectant, anticipatory energy, what comes up for you? Because that might be a theme in your book. What do you perceive as this, whatever it is that's coming up?
I was in the corporate world for 30 years,
Hmm.
wearing many hats: corporate trainer, human resource director, recruiter, event planner, marketer, you name it, because I was always the one who wanted to take care of things, do things, different things.
Hmm.
But then I got really sick from the environment and a lot of the politics, and I lost my voice.
Hmm.
And then I also got physically sick.
Yes. Hmm.
So I stopped working and I sold my house, I downsized everything. And I'm, for the first time in almost 54 years, I'm taking time to just really figure out what is it I want to do and what can I do.
Hmm.
And so coming across people like you who are saying, hey, we've got this solution and it's time. And I'm thinking, my God, all I have is time. And it doesn't
Yeah.
matter if I'm up all day today or whatever, I can get something done, completed, and feel like I'm part of something again. And it's rehabilitative.
Hmm.
So I don't know, that's kind of.
Yeah, no, what comes up for me and the question that I have is, what do you enjoy most? Where do you feel like there's the most joy and the most, you know, really the most freedom in your life? What do you enjoy? What do you enjoy most?
It's so outside of the topic, but I love being with animals and kids. And I think it's because, no pun intended, I have an aura around me that they see, they feel, they know I'm safe. And I am really happiest with pets. And I can communicate with them.
Hmm.
And people have used them as tools to evaluate if they should hire me or not to stay in their house and take care of the pets. They didn't call my references. They
Hmm.
looked at how their animals reacted to me. Of course, the animals were like
Wow.
sitting on top of me. Like I was, and I, you know what? I was really, really happy doing that.
Hmm.
But COVID happened, and I
Hmm.
stayed in people's houses, and COVID happened, and then I got sick, so I kind of left that world. But that may be coming back too because I get so excited every time I see kids, and they're excited, just as excited to see me.
That's
Animals
great.
too, yeah.
Hmm.
You'll watch it. Watch me in the presence of your kids, or what? Just watch the reactions or around animals. It
Mm,
fuels me, and I think it fuels them too.
that is really cool. So, what's coming up for me? So, we'll focus on the animals for a moment here, because that's another chapter as well too about about your affinity with animals. Can you tell me one of your first memories or your first experiences where your relationship with animals just kind of clicked and
Oh
you
my
just
God,
knew?
this is going to sound crazy, but
Hmm.
maybe not to this audience. I was dating someone several years ago who had a really old cat, like 15 or 16, and I was nervous about cats, even though I love pets, just because I've had dogs. And this cat took a while to get used to me, and this cat would just stare at me and not say anything. But I swear I heard in my head, I'm sick of sitting on this couch. I really want to go on the bed, but my dad won't let me go there because of the hairs. Can you put a blanket there? And can you also get me another cat? I'm lonely. So I
Hmm.
told this to him, and he said, oh my God, my daughter's been asking for a cat. And I said, you have to get your daughter a cat. And then I said, you also have to let her, the existing cat, on the bed. And he's like, but she'll never get off. She's 15. She's old. I said, she told me she can do it.
Mm,
I put her
mm,
up once, and then every day after, she got up on her own.
wow. Wow.
So it just, there's no other explanation, I
Hmm.
feel. And
Hmm.
so I feel like they can communicate with me. They know that I hear them. And
Yeah.
I'm a medium, not just with human experiences, but with animal ones too. And I really love that.
Mm. Can you tell me more about another experience where you have served as a medium with animals? Which one, which was one of the most powerful experiences you've had with that? I'd love to hear that.
I think it has to be with, oh, I wish I could show you the pictures, and I hope
Mhm.
it doesn't make me cry, but I had two Shih Tzus that I had rescued, or rescued
Mhm.
me, whatever. And they crossed over several years ago. And they had very distinctive personalities. And I didn't get pets for a long time because I was devastated. And then my daughter saw these two cats and she said, Mom, they remind me of Honey and Giz. Honey and Giz were our cats.
Mhm.
So we saw them in 10 minutes, just like Honey and Giz, the dogs who had passed. I said, I love them. We adopted them. And we feel that they are reincarnated.
Oh,
And
wow.
we feel that um, they send messages through us and through their actions, and they completely understand everything that
Mm.
those dogs did.
Mhm.
So I feel like it's their way of getting to me and my
That's
daughter.
really that's really neat. So, tell me a little bit more about how you came to that conclusion that they are reincarnated. I'd love to hear more about your process, about how that emerges.
This is even okay. Not okay. So my dogs, Honey and Giz, they were brother and sister,
Mm-hmm.
and they were a bonded pair. And I always wanted to rescue a bonded pair. I didn't want to separate anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Milo, I have to think about their names. I keep calling them Honey and Gizzy. Milo and Zoe are a bonded pair, brother and sister.
Mm-hmm.
Honey and Giz. Honey was really tiny and Giz was really big.
Mm-hmm.
Milo and Zoe.
Mm.
Zoe's really tiny. Milo's really big. When I just pulled him into my apartment the very first day, and I said, "Go bed, mommy," which is what I used to say to the dogs, and the two cats came to bed with me. So
Mm.
they just
Mm.
knew, like it's like they were showing me they understood, and they would do their behaviors. They're just if just they're not they don't seem like cats. They're like dogs. They don't hide when they see you. They come up, they snuggle. They have the personality that they leave you alone. They don't hiss. They just want love and affection, and that's how my dogs were. And they're the
Mm-hmm.
same exact sizes. It's
Wow.
just so yeah.
Yeah. That's
So I
beautiful. That's
feel
a
it, and I have them literally with me in my apartment. I mean, I literally have their ashes, and then I feel like I have them physically in the cat's
mm,
body.
mm. That's a beautiful story, Laurie. And just yeah, just being able to to be in the presence of that energy, to be in the presence of that story as you're retelling it. I kind of feel, I kind of feel rejuvenated and healed just from listening to that.
It's
Um,
awesome.
so, as a medium, can you tell me more about a an experience like that with people? What were some of the more potent, powerful experience you've had as a medium working with and communicating with people?
Oh, I have so many. So I'm going to give you the top that have really freaked me out and other people out, but in good ways. It's
Hmm.
just mystical. So the first is I went to see a chiropractor, and turns out he was somebody I went to high school with.
Hmm.
And he remembered me from high school, and he remembered this other girl, and he said this one girl couldn't stand me. I was so
Hmm.
upset. Now this is 30 years later, okay?
Yeah.
And I'm like, why would someone not like me? I'm so upset. Well, I
Hmm.
Facebook messaged her.
Yeah.
I said, I know I haven't seen you since 1988, but what did I do to you that would cause you, why would you be upset? And she said, it's not you, it's Lori so and so. And I said, oh. So anyway, so I stopped going to the chiropractor, and I became friends with her again after all these years of not seeing each other. And we went to elementary school together.
Hmm.
Her father died at 50.
Mm.
Her father came to me before I messaged her and
Wow.
said, as proof to my daughter, I'm going to describe this picture of her and I together.
Hmm.
And it's going to be in her house, and that's going to be proof. So I tell her this. She has no idea of the picture. I think, oh my God, I got to call the psychiatrist. I am really losing it.
Hmm.
3 months later, we went out to eat. I came back to her house, and she pulled out an old school photo album that is like hardbound, and it has a plastic thing you like rip off, and then there's like glue that sticks on it. And there's the picture.
Mm.
And we were both like, oh my God. So that was the first one.
Hmm.
The second one, and I tell this story all the time, but I feel him with me now. But and my college boyfriend, who we broke up 30 years ago and hadn't talked,
Hmm.
and I kind of begged to get together with him for years, and he never would see me in person. And then I was selling my house, and I was in the garage, and I looked over at the to my left, and there was a VCR with a bunch of VCR tapes, and right on the top was the video that his mom made when he bought me a Fiero. It was like this little two-seater
Hmm.
car when I was 21.
Hmm.
And it just gave me a good feeling, but I was also mixed because I hadn't talked to him in years. Then my phone rings, and I get a Facebook Messenger call. It's not like someone who has my number, it's just someone on Facebook Messenger. It's his best friend that I have not seen in 30 years that we recently became connected with on Facebook,
Mm,
telling me that Mark is in a coma.
mm,
And so for 9 days, he was in a coma and we didn't know what was going to happen. But for those 9 days, he filled me in everything in Mark's life and got me caught up. And as
mm,
soon as he got me caught up, he died. And
mm.
then he started coming back in ways. He started taking over my GPS, putting in directions and taking me to streets that have his name in it.
Oh, wow.
And then he took me to a house where his best friend lived. I haven't seen him in years, and he lived in a totally different neighborhood.
Hmm.
And I called the friend who recently called me. I said, "Does this other guy live so and so here?" And he said, "Yeah, why?" I said, "Oh my God, I'm in front of his house."
Mm,
So just things like that, and him showing up at readings, like at Circle of Miracles. I
hmm.
can't remember the guy's name. Rich did
Hmm.
a
Rich Marconi. Yeah. Hmm.
and he showed up there and said
Hmm.
things about me that nobody would know.
Mm,
So
mm,
these experiences are so powerful, and just such a great reminder for me that you're, that the people that you love, they're not here, like your grandma who just passed, or just on a different timeline. Someone expressed that to me, and that you
mm-hmm.
can still connect with them later, and that made me feel so much better.
Mm, mm-hmm.
And so I love now that I have this ability, and that different abilities are just showing up. I feel like as I resolve different traumas,
Mm-hmm.
some of my medical conditions improve
Mm-hmm.
and my mental clarity gets better. I
Yeah.
have a long way to go, but I am appreciative of the progress I am making.
That's great. That's great. Well, let's go to that chapter now. Whatever you feel comfortable with sharing, what do you see as one of your greatest challenges at the moment?
Trying to see who I am now. Who is
Mm-hmm.
Lori 2.0?
Mm-hmm.
Because all of the things I did before almost seemed like I did it in a previous lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I'm trying to figure out is how to not throw the baby out with the bathwater. And just because I had bad experiences in corporate environments, and it's just not the right environment for me. I'm a huge empath.
Mm-hmm.
I have to just use my facilitation skills, use my event planning skills, my organization skills, my marketing skills in to a different audience,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
um, and I'm really trying to figure out where does that belong. Just like you had mentioned a couple times that you're getting a calling to the ministry, so am
Mm-hmm.
I.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I just so I'm not that's my biggest challenge. Wearing many hats and wearing many halos. I think comes from having so many different lives and picking up different experiences and skill sets. And I think what do I focus on one, which everyone keeps telling me to do, who's non-spiritual,
Mm-hmm.
but my heart says no. Just find a way to make it make sense, but be you.
Yeah.
Find a way to package that. So that's I'm struggling with that, and recovering
Mm-hmm.
from some health issues. So
Mm-hmm.
um, I feel like these projects that I'm working on with you are kind of rehabilitative
Hmm.
in that they're bringing back Lori, the best Lori 1.0 that goes into Lori 2.0. It might take a ton longer,
Mm-hmm.
um, because I have some processing and memory issues, but
Mm-hmm.
they are tasks for me to show that I can get them done
Yeah. Yeah. Very
more than
cool.
anything. And then
Very
sharing them with anybody else, the material makes me
cool.
super happy.
Very cool. Let's talk about that rehabilitation, that rehabilitative quality. Because my impression is that when you're doing something that really speaks to you, that your heart is into, that has healing abilities. Can you speak to me a little bit more about how yeah, what has the experience been like healing or the rehabilitation? Yeah, I mean, it might just be something that just comes up here in the moment, but I'd like to hear more about that kind of quality that you've been experiencing.
Sure, hold on. Let me just get my cat out of the heat. Is everything. Hold on a second. Like, I have to get him out.
Hmm.
Okay. The rehabilitative quality I'm experiencing is euphoria.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I really thought so many parts of me were gone, that my master's degree was wasted, that
Hmm.
all the time I had spent in the corporate world, like what was I going to do now? My parents are aging. Like I just had so many things, challenges.
Hmm.
And so working on a project for you, especially one that values time,
Hmm.
where I'm not stressed by getting things done at a certain time,
Hmm.
and I'm learning again, being a student, to become a teacher, which is what I used to do. That's how I first got into public speaking.
Hmm.
Is I audited other people. I read their presentations. I proofed them. And
Hmm.
then I developed my own style. And I
Yep.
find that happening now with the work that you're doing.
Yes. Hmm.
I'm finding out it's also rehabilitative for me to figure out which stuff, if it's over my head
Hmm.
and I can't figure it out, maybe that's better for someone else. But
Hmm.
there are certain things, like you said, that when they resonate with me, I'm able to just zoom through them.
Hmm.
And I feel, as part of the facilitated process, working on these different projects with you connected, I also feel like a good spokesperson and not
Hmm.
salesperson, because I don't feel like I'm selling anything. I believe in the material. I
Right.
believe in what we're doing. And so when people are talking and they don't have questions, I am finding, I mean, they have questions about the living library or
Hmm.
a time bank. I can explain it to them flawlessly because I've been watching. I can't tell you how many times I watched the presentation and wrote
Right.
things.
Right.
So that's rehabilitative, because I also thought my memory was completely gone. So this was
Oh,
a super
wow.
challenging. This was a super, and I don't tell people that this was a super, super challenging project for me.
Hmm.
And I am
Hmm.
thrilled that I'm working on it and finding a way to accommodate Lori 2.0, who may need extra time and has more questions and just needs to just keep doing the things that are simple, and that is enough.
Great.
I don't have to be everything.
I'm going to just do a quick reflection as well too, and add a little bit of context. So what Laurie's talking about is a 2-hour presentation I recorded some months ago about reverse market mechanics, which is about leveraging time as an asset to kind of redistribute the power, financial power in the world. So that's just the presentation that Laurie is referring to. And what I'm getting, what's coming up for me as you're reflecting back your experience with that, Lori, is that there's the difference between Chronos time and Kairos time. Chronos time is what we experience when we're working in the corporate world, where there's a hierarchy and there's these expectations put on us, and there's pressure, and there's this struggle. There's almost like this power struggle, and I call that. I kind of make the observation that the game is about making money for people who already have too much money, and we kind of know we kind of know that's the game, and we're afraid to talk about it because we could be fired, we could be ostracized, we could be kind of exiled from society. But what we're discussing, and we'll get into this in our next conversation when I turn the reins over to you. What we're exploring is what's called Kairos time, which is about kind of like the natural flow of things, what's alive for you, um, and really giving each other the time to be able to process without an external taskmaster, lording over us and expecting a result. So in Kairos time, there's a natural flow. There's a natural flow to it. Like we've had this conversation. We're having this conversation. We're already a half an hour into it. To me, it just went by like nothing. And when you're in a job where it's not in alignment with who you are or who you're what you want to create or bring into this world, the time goes by very slowly, and that's Chronos time. And you think of we were talking about archetypes earlier. Chronos is the taskmaster. The the kind of like the patriarchal father figure where, you're trying to live up to his expectations, and it's not easy. It's not easy to do, and emotions and feelings are sometimes put to the side, or even criticized and downplayed, and even sometimes hated. When you speak from your heart, or you let yourself be emotional, because that brings you back into Kairos time, where you can't control that. You can't control the person who is living in integrity, with where their bliss is. So thank you. I just wanted to kind of reflect that back, what was coming up for me as you were articulating, working on this project together. So yeah. So I'm going to take a step back now, and cut back into my heart, because there's a lot of richness just in this half an hour conversation alone. And what is coming up for me, Lori, is yeah. So you and I met at Circle of Miracles, and I have been speaking with more people who are open about their spirituality, spiritual connection, um, and a lot more open about talking about experiences like you have so far. Um, if you had to speak to if you had to speak to this, why do you think it's so difficult for people to just be open about spiritual experiences, or mediumship, or even the possibility that there is something beyond what we can see, hear, and touch? Why do you think people are uncomfortable?
I'm sorry.
Yep, no, that was my question.
Well, I think several reasons. I think one is history. I mean, like
Mhm.
Salem witch trials, and
Mm,
kind of coming out that history and watching that. Like, I never understood why I was attracted to all those kinds of stories and science fiction things. And so kind of watching that scared me,
mhm.
So that was that. And then can you repeat the question? Because I want to try and answer it in the way
Yeah,
that you.
absolutely. Yeah. The question is, why is spirituality, or talking about spirituality, seem to be so scary for some people? Why is it not really commonly accepted in our society?
I think personally
Mhm,
that if someone else is not quote unquote awake yet,
mhm,
and they don't get it, and they're on a quote unquote different vibration,
mhm.
they don't understand. And those are the people that think we've lost it.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think, like for me personally, like when I would hear about some of these things, alternative ideas, I thought, oh my God, this person's crazy. And now I am that person.
Mhm,
So
mhm,
I think if everybody would go through the awakening process at the same time, I think it'd be more acceptable. So I
mhm,
think you have the combination of the negative repercussions of the past,
mhm.
and also people not awake enough to understand and feel, and I think the fear of the unknown is scary to a lot of people.
Yeah.
So I think it's a combination
Mhm.
of those.
Yeah, I would definitely agree, because yeah, the fear of the unknown is really is really a barrier, I think. I've been I've been talking about that vibration as well quite a bit. That's one of the natural laws, is law of vibration, and that has a lot to do with feeling, emotion. What would you say are the feelings and emotions that you have experienced in your corporate work, or when you were in that environment? If you had to speak to the vibration of that kind of environment, what comes up for you?
9
Nine.
because I had to get out of it.
Mm-hmm.
1 because I was a leader,
Mm-hmm.
um, and I realized the the I felt like I was doing a lot of leading blindly. I felt like, and I may have
Mhm.
mentioned this to you before, but I
Mhm.
know you do something called Wizard of Is.
Mhm.
I felt like when I got to the top of the corporate ladder and when I pulled back the curtain and met, you know, Oz or whatever, you know, it was,
Mhm.
I was like, this is it. Oh
Mhm.
my, so I had the emotions of like someone stabbed me in the heart. Like I just
Mhm.
couldn't believe that this is everything I had worked for, a master's degree, organizational development. I'm like, I don't even want to be anywhere near this.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
it kind of like that environment really, really, really made me sick. And it took years to find people like you in a community like this where I'm realizing that
Mhm.
as an empath, someone with deep emotion,
Mhm.
lots of emotions, I need to be around environments that appreciate that and don't try to take that away and know that downtime is accepted. So I know that I need to do something that is entrepreneurial yet within a community.
Mhm.
So I
Yeah.
have many emotions about there's just a lot of emotions that go along with that.
Yeah, I really resonate with that when you had talked about pulling back the curtain and seeing the wizard and seeing that the wizard is not who he says he is.
Yeah, the
Um,
wizard, I called him Oz, but the wizard,
yeah,
yes, the Wizard of Oz, yes.
yes, yeah, yeah. And it's kind of like, and the more you're kind of pulling back that curtain and kind of trying to get people to see what's really there, the more they want to kind of shut their eyes and not really believe. They want to believe in their heroes. They want to believe in, in the dream, so to speak. My Wizard of Oz story is, wanting to be very open about how to end poverty and war, and having these leaders who are, very famous and very, and have accumulated wealth, kind of pretend that I don't exist. And that's been very hard for me in these last couple of years, and I'm starting to heal from that because I realize that my purpose is not to make more money for people who already have too much money. It's helping people who have been kind of put down by that system to understand some of these very advanced concepts, and everyone will start to understand it in their own time. But that's where I've kind of felt healing from that environment because I felt very similar to what you felt, Lori. That kind of that sick feeling of being in that environment. Yeah.
And I'm glad we found each other. I am so glad that this community, like I've gone through, I
Mhm.
don't even know. I've tried to find the right people, the right community, and I feel like suddenly like the right people, the right projects, the right things are happening.
Mhm.
And I can really appreciate that. Like you talk about emotions, like I'm so happy that there
Mhm.
are other people like this. And what I've noticed that I guess people say your vibe is your tribe. I'm noticing that the people that I'm interacting with now are people in their second half of quote unquote life
Yeah.
that have already done the core. They've already done that and say, now what?
Mhm. Yeah.
That's the people I feel like we're in that group. Like now, okay, we've done that. Now, how do we transfer it to this world, or how do
Yeah.
we start something completely over?
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of us are in that, and it feels like our own little community.
Mhm.
You know, I know you talk about having a community where money is not just the only method of payment, where time
Mhm.
is,
Yeah.
but also having the community of people where you're not afraid, where so many people are afraid, but having people like us who have these different gifts and spirituality that to be able to
Mhm.
come together and not be fearful and to be able to be who you are
Yeah.
is, you know, you talk about time, that's just, you know, that's worth everything.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, what's coming up for me in reflecting on that, in reflecting on community, is that you are a part of our Exploring Integrity group that we are meeting once a month at the moment, and some of you are also meeting one on one between our group meetings. Um, I think the next chapter I would like to explore is what has been your experience being in that first group meeting that we had, I might even link that conversation up to this conversation. But yeah, I would really like to hear what has come up for you internally, or what is your experience so far in interacting with people like in the Exploring Integrity group? I'd love to hear more about what's been going on behind the scenes with you.
I've had a great experience. I what I have found is that you have pulled together, attracted a group of people who really want genuine relationships and who want to be able to be who they are with people that they can tell their truth to, who accept them without judgment. I think it is wonderful. I've met almost everybody in the group. I think I have a
Hmm.
couple more to meet, and it's teaching me things,
Hmm.
about I'm trying so hard to suspend judgment. Um, I'm not perfect. I just have certain ways that I'm used to doing things, and so it's putting me face to face with people who are supporting different causes or doing things differently than I do, and I am learning
Hmm.
that that's okay. So that's another rehabilitative part of my process.
Hmm.
My way is not the only way.
Hmm. Hmm.
And so I've learned that, and I've really just learned that the common thread is really people just want genuine, unconditional love.
Yeah.
Every
Yeah.
single person I talk to, it's the same thing. It's the
Hmm.
same thing.
Yeah.
We're just sick of like fake.
Oh, you went on mute there, Laurie. Yeah, there we go. Yep. Genuine people. You were talking about fake for a moment.
Yeah, I was just saying that there's been such superficial conversations. Even at
Hmm.
spiritual gatherings I've gone to that I've stopped. I just like the genuine. I need the genuine. I don't
Yeah.
need thousands, millions of people to talk to. If I have a handful of genuine friends, I am thrilled. A couple, I'm
Hmm.
thrilled. I genuine. And
Hmm.
I feel like this group of people that has been assembled is just a genuine group of people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there are a lot of differences and things that could be potentially challenging, in different circumstances.
Hmm.
But I don't feel like it's threatening at all. I feel comfortable, and I feel curious, and I feel appreciative, and I'm enjoying this.
Good.
I'm enjoying this. I getting to meet a lot of people that I wouldn't normally meet. And
Hmm.
I'm also meeting people coincidentally, I don't know if that's not a word, serendipitously,
Hmm.
that are doing things that I've thought about doing. And like two of the
Hmm.
people in the group are living on a community land, like things that
Yeah.
I wanted to do. So I'm just like, oh, this is all happening. It's happening. So there's where that 555 comes back.
Yeah. 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 I did
And,
notice
and
that.
I
I was wondering, yeah, how that was going to come in.
and so I see that it's all coming. I don't know where I'm going,
Hmm.
but I know that I'm meant to do something else, and I know that I'm supposed to be getting my voice back through
Hmm.
this rehabilitative project that you're working on. It's just I feel it, I know it, and I know what I'm supposed to do, and I know what's meant for others now. I never understood that. Take
Hmm.
what's meant for you, leave what's meant for. I didn't understand that.
Hmm.
I get that now. And
Yeah.
so I think, the other thing I wanted to say is I just had a thought. You mentioned, why are people afraid to talk? And I think it's also Godspeed. Like I never understood that before. People
Hmm.
will ask things and they'll say, why is this happening? Or it's not happening now.
Hmm.
And what I've learned is it's just going to happen when it's going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I think a lot of people are afraid of that, or they're like, well, why is these bad things have happened? They don't understand. They don't understand the lessons. They don't get it yet. So
Yeah.
that just came to me. I just wanted to, sorry, I was out of order, but I wanted to bring it up.
No, not at all. No, what's really cool and what's really emergent for me as well too is kind of being in that flow where it's not about strategy or expectation, but just kind of being in the energy of appreciation. So, so it's
Yeah.
really kind of really, and as we're kind of winding down on this conversation, it really kind of caps off what these kinds of conversations are intended to be. So, I call them living library conversations, but they're also appreciation conversations. And it's an introduction to a new path, but we can stay here and accumulate time, log the time, and that alone can really kind of can shift the paradigm. We're gonna be doing our possibility conversation, which is the next step after appreciation. We'll be doing that in February. But we can we can spend as much time as needed to establish trust here in appreciation, here in living library type of conversations. So that's why I've been saying before we even get into, time banking and into reverse market mechanics, this is kind of like the foundation, being able to have appreciation conversations with each other and really, really just with a lot of conversations, especially in the corporate world, we're always analyzing and strategizing how somebody else is going to benefit me. But in the appreciation conversation, it's just assumed that everybody has value, and we can kind of explore the nuances of that value here by suspending judgment, like you had said. One of the values or one of the tenets of Winfinity is being able to suspend judgment to explore new possibilities, to explore different solutions. And suspending judgment is very hard in our world where we're conditioned to be very judgmental. So I wanted to reflect that back as well too. So you look really relaxed, by the way. I'm really glad.
The funny thing is, I'm actually in tons of pain. I'm sitting in my bed because I have to get a nerve block injection this week because I have back pain. So I'm sitting. It's like I was going to sit with like a pretty background, but I'm like, you know what? I have to go for comfort. I just have to sit like in my with my back support. I feel like even though I'm 53, I'm going to be 54. Recently, I just had some issues that made me feel older, so that's why I'm like laid back against my headboard.
No, I actually appreciate I appreciate the relaxed manner. So it's kind of like it's like being able to do stuff like this and do recordings like this that I believe can kind of change our minds, and as we change our mind, we change the world. It doesn't have to be like you're put on the spot, or you have to be on. I think some of our genius comes out when we are in that relaxed flow state. So so we're winding down here on this conversation, and I'll pause this soon and check in with you to see if you want to do the next part. But the last part of this conversation, I usually just wrap up with the question: what did you appreciate most about our conversation today, and what are you curious about exploring down the road? What are you most curious about exploring down the road? So thinking back over the last hour, because we're at 50 minutes now. Thinking back over the last hour, what do you appreciate most about our time together, and what's resonating in this moment?
I appreciate.
Oh, you went on mute again.
Get to just talk to someone asks about me. Like my whole
Mhm,
life I've been so focused on everyone else, and it was so nice that someone asked questions about me.
mhm,
And it's really not doesn't happen often. And so Lori 2.0 is accepting, okay, people are asking questions about me, and I'm in receiving mode and I'm explaining things and I like it.
mhm,
So that was the first answer, the first thing. The second part, what am I most curious about,
mhm,
looking forward to most?
mhm,
I am really into time banking. I am probably the number one supporter, and I'm curious about learning more about it
mhm,
and utilize and seeing who else is participating
mhm.
um, in the Karmic Margin Call project. Sorry to try saying that 5 times. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm impressed I even got it done one time.
Yeah,
Um,
I stumbled over it earlier in this talk. So yeah.
I do that and the pets. I keep calling everyone else's names, but I do feel like I am really, really excited because for so long I went from, corporate high functioning person to I don't really know what my identity is. I'm trying all these projects and I have time. And then
Mhm,
I come across you. And it's a model of a different type of ecosystem using time as the asset. And I'm like, oh my God, that's like all I have now is time.
yeah.
So I feel like that was a message from the universe.
Mhm.
So I'm most curious about where that goes. And then I want to see more living libraries. I want to see other people's. Yeah.
Absolutely. Very good. Very good. Yeah, I'm going to be this weekend. I'm actually attending a meeting about time banking at our local time bank in Phoenixville. We're planning for a retreat at the Phoenixville Time Bank. So we'll see how that develops, and you'll certainly get an invitation to that, Lori.
That sounds
Um, yeah.
fun.
So one more question before
Uh-huh.
we pause for a moment. Somebody watching this, if somebody's watching this and you wanted to offer up a call to action, how would you like someone to approach you, or what are you interested in? How are you interested in continuing this conversation for someone who might be watching this? Just whatever comes up the top of your head, from your heart. Where would you like to go next for somebody who might be watching this? Oh, there goes the mute button.
It's fun.
Mhm. Yep. And it's okay if there's no answer at the moment. But yeah, I can see I can feel the energy in the pause.
Well, I enjoy doing this. I'm grateful, appreciative that you thought of me to take the time out to answer questions. And if anybody it doesn't feel comfortable reaching out publicly or saying anything, I'm totally available to talk to anybody about any things that you know
Mhm.
Mike and I discussed. So
Yep,
putting an open
absolutely.
invitation out there.
Yep, and it earns time banking hours. I will also put that tag on one more time that it does. That that's why we're doing this, is because in the time banking world right now, where time banking, I'm hoping will evolve, is that it's very difficult to get into service-based type of exchanges where no money is involved yet, because of that trust. And these living library conversations are intended to establish trust. So all of those hours, that you are investing in these kinds of conversations, that someone who might be watching is investing, that's all redeemable, and you build time as an asset just by participating in these conversations. So, Lori, thank you for this conversation. I'm going to pause at the moment and check in with you, and we might be continuing here. So,
Okay.
so